there's money out there all over the place.
I know, and I do not thoroughly understand this, and I have heard you talk about it before. Tell us, what is infinite banking? I've never done it because I just don't understand it enough to do it. Nobody's ever explained it well enough to me to make me think, ooh, I got to do that. So start wherever you want and tell us, what is infinite banking and how can it help our listeners?
Infinite banking was a term that was coined by a man by the name of R. Nelson Nash. And what it really boils down to is having a pool of money in which you control and then you lend it out either to yourself or to others. And why it's infinite is there's an infinite possibilities to do things. So we can talk more about it. That's really kind of high level, but you're already kind of doing it, Eric. I mean, you and even with my dad when I was being born, right? He acted as the bank. He loaned someone else money, which generated then truly passive income, right? Someone else was fixing the sink, someone else was fixing the toilets, right? He got that mortgage payment every single month for more than 30 years, right? When you're in a position to loan that money, then you can be even more passive, if you will, and you're not at risk, right? Nobody lends on a property and has the possibility of losing money, right? A bank or a hedge fund or hard money lender, they want a first position most of the time, and your loan to value is 65, 70, maybe 75%. So in the event the owner messes up, they can still take that property over and they always recoup their money.
One thing that I have really told people and sold people on, hey, why don't you finance this for me? Well, what do you mean? Easy. You want to sell it for $100,000. How about I give you 10 or 20,000 down, just like I would a bank. But now I don't have to pay the banking fees. I keep making payments to you every year, or excuse me, every month. And as the years go by, it gets paid off. It's not an interest-only loan. I'm making payments every month, and it kills itself. It is amortized over 15, 20, 30 years. And the worst thing that happens is if I don't pay you, you end up with the same building that you have already owned for all these years before back, and you get to keep all my money and you have to sell it again. Is that one way? Is that an accurate way to look at it, Jason?
Yeah, well, from that person's point of view, how do you get into that business of being the bank? That's what caused me to think that way, is my dad had done it, right? And I say, well, how do you do that? Because I mean, yeah, real estate can be passive income. Financing real estate can be even more passive because you can step away and potentially a lot more lucrative. What I found in some of the studies when I was attempting to figure out how to become wealthy is the infinite banking concept. And there's a contract, which is a whole life insurance policy from a mutual company. When you understand the contract, you go just contract law. Forget the fact that there's a death benefit with it. Look at just the contract. It has more in common with that bank on the corner than most anything else out there. It's amazing what it can do. And it puts you in a position that you can then finance your life. And very early on, I recognized, wait a second, if you were able to use that with an appreciating asset such as real estate, and what I found is that one of the cool things there is when you take a loan against the cash values, it doesn't affect the growth of the policy. So you are experiencing uninterrupted compound interest, even though you're using a portion of it as collateral for a loan on a property or whatever.
Okay, so you are buying a life insurance policy on yourself, your wife, your kids, and this would be what they call a whole life. Is that right? And it's a special one they have to get. It can't just be anyone off the street.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
the whole life that often talked about on the radio or different places, that's designed for death benefit. Our need to finance our life is bigger than our need for a death benefit. And so when you solve the equation for this policy, right, you're going to solve it for cash accumulation, not for death benefit. So you're getting the cash really, really fast.
So I think one of the things I'm missing, most people that want to do this, if they had money to pay $100,000 to buy a building, then they just spend that money. How much money do we need to start and put in before I can take a loan against it on average?
The first year's premium, you should have access to about 80% of it same day. As soon as your funds are good with the insurance company, you can take a loan for about 80% of whatever that value is.
Is it like an IRA? I
Um,
can only do 6,500, I think.
right. My biggest client does 440,000 a year.
That's significant. Okay. So let's keep it that 440,000. That's a huge number. Let's make it easy. We could put $100,000 in our first year, and then we can borrow 80% of that, or $80,000 back out. Well, why wouldn't I just use my 100 grand to put a down payment on a $500,000 building and get a bank loan or whatever? I just lost 20%. Where's the benefit that I'm getting for giving up that 20%?
It's going to come back to you over time in the fact that you're going to have tax-free growth, tax advantage, dividends and things. Plus there's a death benefit. Now, I have a policy that just last month I paid the next premium. I'm going to get 1.2. So I'll just make it say it was 10,000. The policy is going to go up by 22,000 this year. So I put in 10, I'm going to have access to 22,000. Now that's a few years down the road. So you're saying, well, I'm going to give up 20% now, but if you go down the road a little ways, I'm putting money in there and it's going up even more than what I'm putting in there. I want that deal every day. In fact, I wish that policy was 10 times the size as what I build it.
And can you explain to me the growth? Like now you're putting in, if I understood correctly, 10,000 and getting 22,000 back out because of what you did a few years ago. How is that growing like that? What kind of, we're getting interest or some type of return on it sitting there?
Yes. So again, it's uninterrupted compound. There's two types of growth. So there's the guaranteed growth that happens all the time. When you do it with a mutual company, there's another type of growth, and that's dividends. They're non-taxable. What it basically is your portion of the company profit. Those dividends can get bigger and bigger and bigger as every year I'm starting to own more and more of the company. So even if the company stays at the exact same profit, my dividends are increasing for the fact I'm buying more of the company, if you will, like preferred stock of the company of some sort.
That's fantastic. I love that. And I now have a better understanding than I have ever had of this before.